In this video, we're going to do all our mise en place, which is very, very important. It is a code that all culinarians live by, and we trust and we practice this every day, even when we're home. So we're going to do all our mise en place, and then once that's done, we will dive into all the pasta individually and treat each with said respect that they deserve. So this is our pumpkin, and we're just gonna slice it open, scoop the middle, scoop the seeds, toss that out, wedge it, put it on a baking tray, get it into the oven, and we're going to roast this for like 30-35 minutes. Then we'll check it to see if it's tender enough, and then we'll pull it, scoop it, blend it with cream. And I feel like I'm gonna put this little piece of onion inside. Next on the list are mushrooms. So I went ahead and I prepped these mushrooms here. So these are 3 different types of mushrooms. These are shiitakes, these are criminis, or you can call them button mushrooms, regular button mushrooms, and these are Hon Shimejis. Also, we're going to roast these mushrooms in a saute pan, extract the flavor out of these as well. So there are going to be a lot going on this stove at the moment, and hopefully we can get everything done. Now, intensifying a mushroom pasta, I would think of it as, let's just say, if you're doing any sort of chicken dish and you want to heighten the flavor of said chicken dish, what would you do? And I think the most common answer that you would jump to is you would add chicken stock or some kind of chicken flavor and chicken variant, or chicken flavor, sorry. And I think that I would just use the trash of the mushrooms, or the parts that we don't really want, such as the excessive stems and the part that we throw in the garbage. I think that it's smart and ingenuitive to make a stock out of mushrooms in order to heighten / boost the flavor of the final product. So that's what we're going to be doing. In this pot, I have the mushroom trimmings and onions, and I'm just going to add olive oil to this and sweat them on the stove. Try to develop the flavor in these, and then we're going to pour cold water on it so the stock develops that level of umami. So it will turn out really great. Yeah, let's start our tomato sauce. As I mentioned before, our tomato sauce is not going to be complicated. It's going to be super easy, super flavorful, and we're going to be using these crushed tomatoes from Bianco di Napoli. These are really good. I have a lot of experience using these specific canned tomatoes. You can use whatever tomatoes you find, and also they come in like 2 distinctive colors and very different styles. So this one is crushed, and these ones are whole peeled tomatoes with basil in them. And I feel as if that, let's just go with the whole peeled with the basil, and maybe we can save this one for vodka. Everybody is aware of the classic tomato sauce where you put your mirepoix, which includes onions, carrots, celery, and you put your bay leaves, yada 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 yada. We're not doing any of that. We're not doing any of that. We're going to make it as nice as possible, as rich as possible, as simple as possible, while extracting the best flavor possible. So we're gonna go and coat the bottom of the pan with olive oil. Yes guys, we're gonna be using a lot of olive oil in this video. So we're just gonna maybe go like a tablespoon, or maybe a little more. And what we're gonna do is we're going to sweat We're gonna sweat these until they are before they become brown, and I'll show you on the stove once they get to that point. Before we add in our tomatoes, we need to extract the flavor from the garlic. As it pertains to the garlic, you can see that they have almost turned into garlic crisps, and this is the stage we want them. And now we're going to go ahead and add a can of tomatoes. These tomatoes, you're gonna let them cook for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Let those just get tender, let the garlic get tender, and let it get infused. And then later on, we're gonna add a little, we're gonna finish with a little basil stems, and to give it a better flavor. So it's been 45 minutes since this tomato sauce has been on. I'm just going to pull the stems, take the stems out, and show you the finishing result of these. People think that your basic tomato sauce, Pomodoro sauce, takes hours on end. But the only reason why it would take hours is, you know, you need the vegetables to soften and sweat and disappear into, you know, the tomato sauce. Whereas I'm not using any of the vegetables. I'm just using the garlic to extract that flavor. And this is the result. So you have nice, rich, chunky tomato sauce that's literally holding on to the fork, and you see it's not going anywhere. So if it's holding on to the fork, imagine what's going to happen to the pasta when it's cooked, right? Basic understanding, basic concept. There's nothing hard about it. So this pot of water here is to blanch kale to make our pesto, and also I have trimmed some crowns of broccoli rabe. And because I'm such a big believer in not wasting anything, I said to myself that I'm going to integrate the stems of the broccoli rabe. I'm not going to throw them in the garbage. I'm going to integrate them into my my quattro stagioni, and I'm going to be blanching those as well. So now we're gonna make our pesto. First things first, let me just say this. If you have a blender and you're making a good amount of pesto, and especially because I'm using kale, and you know the structural integrity of the kale is very strong, as you can see here, you can see all the veins, and you see how strong it is, right? Even though I've blanched these for like 3-4 minutes, try not to destroy them, but just making sure that the fibers are tender enough so the pesto doesn't taste chunky, choppy, and nasty. It's as smooth as possible. So the structure for your pesto in your blender is as follows: olive oil. And make sure when you're blending stuff you put enough olive oil to cover the blade, because if the blade isn't covered with whatsoever liquid, then I don't think you're going to be successful in blending. Now let me just top mine up a bit, and you can always add more if you ever need it, right? So we're gonna go in now with this, and you kind of want to press it down onto the blade. So when it starts spinning, it immediately catches everything, right? Squeeze any excessive water that's like that. Put inside. And I'm gonna blend this and see how it comes out. If you're worried about somebody who has any allergies to nuts, you can always substitute the recipe with seeds, all right? This is how it looks. That's wild. So we're gonna be moving on to making our vodka sauce. Tomato paste. Bianco di Napoli, crushed tomatoes. You don't have to use this brand. You can use any canned crushed tomatoes that you want. So these are the ingredients that you would need to make your vodka sauce. So heavy cream, or in your supermarket you'll see heavy whipping cream. Heavy cream is the same thing. Tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, and tomato paste. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to put this into our NutriBullet. I'm going this route because just in case somebody doesn't have a blender at home, then this is the alternative, and it works perfectly. It works just fine, and we're going to use this again and again and again just for the simplicity of things. If you want to keep this for a duration of time, it does depend on when you add the vodka. If you're going to use this same day, the next 2 days, then yes, put the vodka inside, because when the acid reacts with the alcohol, it doesn't end well, and you don't want bad food in your fridge. So if you're going to add your alcohol, do it now if you know you're going to use all the sauce now. If you know that you're going to have the sauce for a week in your fridge and you're going to use it periodically, then I would advise you just to add the alcohol in the sauce when you're going to use it, alright? Don't burn the house down, guys, please. The current state of our mushrooms. You can see the color that they have on them. Very beautiful. And this is the stage where we would add salt to the mushrooms and pepper. Because in the early stages when you're sauteing the mushrooms, you don't want them to release, you want them to release all their waters naturally before you add any salt to them. And this is where seasoning is optimal. The mushroom stock is looking like this, and you can see that it has this deep dark color. The aroma is amazing, and for flavor, you can definitely taste the onions, definitely taste the mushrooms. They are completely infused, and this will be a good base for you to build your pasta upon. Squash, or if you're going to use pumpkin, use pumpkin. Why didn't I boil it? My problem is I love flavor and I love intensity. When you boil something as delicate as a pumpkin, the flavor and its structure tends to break down quite faster than I would like, which is the reason for me roasting it instead of boiling it. Now I've just added a touch of cream just to see if I can get this moving, and I'm just gonna blend this. And remember, we have the onions in the bottom and squash. We're gonna put the lid on and we're gonna blend. The flavor is intense, as I predicted. Can you just imagine that for risotto? Mesmerizing. Here we have our finished products. Kale Pesto. This is the pumpkin puree. This is your vodka sauce. This is our tomato garlic. Mushroom stock along with pan roasted mushrooms. Now, I'm gonna ask you guys for the next couple of videos, please enjoy the way each of these pastas are individually made. And I'm just going to go to the lengths to say this. I respect all Italian dishes right across the spectrum. Some I love more than others, but this here is your basic fundamentals and your guide to making each pasta better than the next.